Hello, everybody, and welcome to our brand new YouTube channel. This is Below the 38th. My name is Andrew, and I'm joined today by Luke.
Hello.
And this, as I said, is a brand new channel. This is our new venture. If you're wondering what this is all about, well, basically in 2026, through this channel, Below the 38, we have decided that we'd like to bring for you like football, adventurous culture, and especially fan culture here in South Korea. And the K-League 1, K-League 1 and K-League 2 especially. We are fans, there's three of us on this program. We are fans who love going to stadiums, we love travelling home and away. And I think that the biggest advantage of Below the 38th is that we all support different football clubs. So you should get a different flavour every week.
Yeah, and hopefully you know us from K-League United. This isn't a K-League United podcast, but Matt, Paul and Alex are still continuing their good work over on the KLU channels. You can still find me and Andrew and Mike all writing regularly for KLeagueUnited.com. And there's also a whole host of other written previews for upcoming games and articles that you can check out.
That's right, yeah. So you can find us on KLeagueUnited.com if you want to see our previews of... You're writing one for this upcoming weekend, isn't that right, Luke?
I am. I'm almost finished. I've about 100 words left to do. I think
it's the hardest part. Is the last bit of editing. But we're not going to talk actually about our teams today, as far as I know, unless you have a last minute surprise for me. So let's just have a look at the teams that are are part of K League 1 for this season. Getting my words all excited. I'm so excited for K League 2 basically, which is where you'll probably find me for most of the year, unfortunately from now on. So Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors won the championship last season by 14 points. Daejeon Hana Citizen came second. Kim Chon Sangmu third. Pohang Steelers, Gangwon FC and FC Seoul made up the top six. And in the bottom half of the table, Gwangju FC Anyang in their first season at K-League 1. Ulsan HD, the 3 times in a row defending champions, narrowly avoiding relegation. Suwon FC, Jeju SK and Daegu finished in 10th, 11th, 12th. And in case you forget, because it feels like a long time ago now, Suwon FC were relegated and Daegu FC were relegated. Daegu went down automatically. And replacing those two teams for 2026, it's a return after a 1-year exile to Incheon United, and Bucheon FC 1995 make their K-League 1 debut this season. So congratulations to Bucheon, and it means we have a 0-3-2 derby, 0-3-1 derby.
0-3-2. Yeah, an 0-3-2 derby. I think the expression is same 0-3-2, different class. I think that's how it works.
I know Bucheon are a higher class for sure, but anyway, what are you going to tell us? Tell us about K-League 1 this season.
Okay, so the season starts this weekend. There are games on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and it runs for 33 rounds initially, which will take us up until the 24th of October. Obviously, there's quite a long summer break for the World Cup, so that will be about 5 or 6 rounds that we'll be missing. And that goes from the 17th of May until the 4th of July when games come back. After those initial 33 games, there's the split, where we take the top 6 and the bottom 6 and we create 2 mini leagues to see, ordinarily, who would be relegated. Obviously, this year is a little bit different because there's only Gimcheon guaranteed to be going down regardless of where they finish. Yeah. But all of that will be organised later, probably around the last week of October. We'll get the final set of fixtures and we'll work out who's likely to be relegated, if anybody else.
Yeah, you might notice too, just to jump in right now, that we're kind of flying through this. There is a reason for that, isn't that right, Luke? We're hoping to make every podcast, with the exception of a couple of monthly specials, or if we're lucky enough to have a player come on and talk to us at some point, we're hoping to make all these podcasts 15 minutes long, because we know that a little bit more bite size fits, I think, more people. So we're both used to doing the longer podcast in the K-League United, and that's a great platform if you're looking for analytics and data. So that's, as Luke was saying, definitely check out the K-League United podcast. But we're hoping to make this a little bit shorter, so you can tune in pretty easily on the train or the bus or the car or wherever else you spend your day. So you mentioned the upcoming fixtures, Luke. Let's have a look at those one by one. As I said, it starts on Saturday, and it's a big one. It's in Sungwoo Arena. Incheon United is back in K-League 1 against FC Seoul. It's a derby. Two teams, they don't like each other very much. And they open the 2026 K-League 1 season. Immediately after that, we have Ulsan HT against Gangwon. On Saturday, so 3 games on Saturday. There's another game on Saturday, which is Kimcheon Sangmu, who are getting relegated no matter how they finish. They could finish as champions and still go down against Pohang Steelers. 2 games on Sunday, Jeonbuk Motors versus Bucheon FC 1995. That is Bucheon's first ever game at this level. And Jeju SK, who avoided relegation in the playoffs last season, they host Gwangju in the beautiful Jeju World Cup Stadium on Sunday at 4:30 p.m. And it's a cracking game on Monday, March the 2nd. It's Daejeon Hana Citizen, who just lost the Korean Super Cup final to Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors. They host FC Anyang. So, what game are you most looking forward to, Luke?
Well, beyond the obvious one, biases aside, for me it's Jeonbuk versus Bucheon. Last year we had an opening weekend with Ulsan against the newly promoted Anyang, and Anyang actually won that. It was a very good game, and both teams created a lot of chances. Obviously, Ulsan had a poor season last year, and that opening game really set the tone for both how Anyang were going to play, but also how Ulsan were going to play over the course of the season. This year we have a similar kind of game in that we have Jeonbuk, who are the current champions and ran away with the league last year, facing Bucheon, who finished 3rd in K-League 2. It's their first year in the top division, and it's somewhat of a baptism by fire. Jeonbuk are a very strong team, and even though they lost Gus Poe, they've replaced him with Chung Jung-yong, who's a very good manager coming in from Gimcheon. They've signed Obadan from Pohang, and they have a very, very strong squad. Whereas Bucheon have actually lost players like Park Hyun-bin out of their midfield, and they're not as good as they were last year when they finished 3rd in K-League 2. It will be a very interesting game. I don't see it going any other way than a home win, but it will be interesting to see how Bucheon handle the pressure of being in the top division and playing the champions away in their first game.
Yeah, it's a great call. Just as a side note, I was at that Ulsan Anyang game at the start of last season. Bruno Mata, 92nd minute winner. And it was amazing because, again, there was a sign on the big screen TV before kickoff. Welcome to Anyang fans, your first time here at Munsu Stadium for a K-League game. And they shocked the whole league. It would be amazing to see something similar to that at Jeonju Castle on Sunday?
I think it's Saturday evening.
Right.
Is it?
If you had to give us a score prediction, what would you go for?
4-0 Jeonbuk.
Okay. Nice. Okay. Well, sticking with the theme of Anyang, I'm going for them for the game to look out for this weekend. The game I'm most looking forward to in K-League 1. Daejeon finished 2nd last season, and they just lost the Korea Super Cup final to Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors. No harm in that, or there's no disgrace in losing to Jeonbuk away from home 2-0. They have added talent to their squad this season. They did a bit of a mini raid on Ulsan, picked up a couple of nice wingers, but there seems to be a feeling, I don't know if you've felt this yourself, that a lot of people just seem to think that Daejeon are going to struggle this season. Concerns about the manager maybe, and even though they've recruited well, they actually look stronger on paper than they did last season. There just seems to be a sense from K-League fans and some people in the media that they're not going to be as strong this year. Anyang, having talked to a couple of people in the club over winter, I was surprised that they are, I would say, not even mildly confident. They are supremely confident they're going to finish higher than the 7th place last season. That's despite losing Bruno Mata. He's gone to Jeonbuk as well. He was a top goal scorer last season. Recruitment looked solid enough, but the team was inexperienced at K-League 1 level and a little bit old at the start of last season. Most of those players are still there again. They're going to have to go to the well, as they say, to pull out another season as good as last year. But I was impressed and encouraged by how optimistic they are for the upcoming season. And I think it's also just remembering too that having followed Anyang a lot last season for K-League United, they were in a downward spiral. They were heading to K-League 2 after a miserable summer, and then Daejeon came to town in August and they were 2-1 up with about 30 minutes to go. Hang Chae-dae gets sent off. Matheus Oliveira scores twice. Anyang win the game 3-2. The following week they beat Seoul for the first time ever. And the rest of the day is history. They went on an incredible run of form after that, and their season turned on the Daejeon result at home. So I think they'll have good memories of playing against Daejeon and a Citizen. So that's a 2 o'clock game on Monday. I'd love to see Anyang win. They're still the underdog in a fixture like this. Of course, they are against one of the wealthier teams in the league, but I think they can really put it up to Daejeon on Monday. I'm going to go for a score draw, 2-2.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think Anyang proved last year that it doesn't take much to turn your fortunes around. One good game can make a whole world of difference, and one bad game can create a downward spiral. You saw how Daegu started last year, and they never really got going until the middle of the season. And then by the time they did, they were too far behind, and it was just much too late. They did well to stay up for as long as they did, but I think the writing was on the wall from about June.
Yeah, I agree. These are, I think this is a good round of fixtures. The Incheon Seoul game is probably the game of the weekend. As I said, you were trying not to be too biased in that, but it's nice just to look at something further afield as well. We've got a couple of minutes left here, Luke. So, talking points. If you had to pick a strange talking point, is something that may have slipped under the radar over the winter. Is there, as opposed to just a game itself, is there a player, a stadium, a kit, a manager? Is there something that's kind of sticking out for you at the moment?
Well, bring it back to Incheon and against Seoul on Saturday. I think, like, Kim Ki-dong, the fact that he's still in a job is very interesting. Having Incheon away for the first game of the season, it's going to be a sellout stadium as well. There's only around 100 tickets available at the moment. Seoul they've been in the ACL over the winter and they've not done very well. If they get a bad result against Incheon, if they lose or even if they don't beat Incheon, because you've got to think Seoul will come into this game expecting to win. If they get a bad result, it will be interesting to see how much pressure Kim Ki-dong is under from the first game and how long he can ride it out and whether he can turn it around, because a lot of Seoul fans seem to be fed up with him. Not just the way that the results are going, but also how he's treated players, and it will be interesting to see if he can last the season, I think.
Yeah, good call. This is his third season, the hot seat of Sangam, so a good start is definitely needed. I'm going to go for Gimcheon. Gimcheon are hosting Pohang Steelers. I went to see this fixture last summer, my first ever trip to Gimcheon, and they destroyed Pohang that day. Lee Dong-kyung was still playing for Pohang. Gimcheon at the time. It was before their army recruits had kind of gone back to their parent clubs a few weeks later. And even the word on the ground at the time was, we don't know what's going to happen next year. There's talk of a citizen club taking over. We now know for sure that Gimcheon are leaving, or Sangmu, the Sangmu club, the Republic of Korea Army, the sports wing is leaving Gimcheon at the end of this year. Their lease is over, so Sangmu will be relegated. We don't know what the future is for Gimcheon. And I just wonder, like, the players who have signed up for military service at Gimcheon, obviously hoping to play in K-League 1 for their careers, especially over in K-League 2. What is the motivation like? They've lost their manager. Obviously, they had a generational squad that was broken up around about Halloween. So I just love to know how they're feeling. Like, what is the motivation outside of doing your duty, shall we say, but on the football pitch? I think they have more than enough quality to avoid finishing in the bottom three spaces, but it's just hard to know where their headspace is.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, when you know that what you do isn't going to make a difference to the outcome, especially for the players who've just arrived at Sangmu and will be there next year regardless, you there's part of it, you're not actually at that club permanently, you're on loan essentially, and so you don't want to risk getting an injury. You don't want to risk doing anything that will damage your career at your parent club. And so what is the reason for them coming and trying hard? They're at Gimcheon until they go back to their proper club. There's no benefit necessarily to them playing well unless they get called up to the World Cup, but beyond that, they're going down. So I mean, how much effort will they really be putting in if they're losing a game? They're not going to go all out, you would think. I don't know. It's a very interesting situation. It's one that doesn't really happen in world football.
It's really bizarre. It's very strange. I said theoretically they could win K-League 1 this season and still get relegated, and it's not because of a point deduction. It's not because of a scandal like you might have seen in other countries 20 odd years ago. Let's say in Europe, this is just the club is leaving Kim Jong. They haven't found a permanent home. They must start again in K-League 2. Strange.
But they will still have some of the players.
Yes, and they'll have a good squad by the looks of it too. We might have gone over 15 minutes by the time this is done. No surprise, as how it always is. I think we're doing pretty well here, Luke. First podcast of our new YouTube channel. I'll try and wrap this one up as quickly as possible. Opening day memories. Is there anything that sticks out? I think I know what you're going to say. I'd rather you didn't say it, but go and say it anyway.
2022, Incheon faced Suwon at home. Yeah. And it was actually quite a back and forth game, but Suwon went down to 10 men fairly early on. And I think it was Kim Gon-hee, who's now he's at Gangwon. It was a high boot to the head. He got sent off after VAR. And Suwon basically sat back and defended, and they did really well. And then Magosa, in the 92nd minute, scored and secured 3 points for Incheon. It was, again, a really busy stadium, lots of singing, lots of enthusiasm, and yeah, it was a brilliant game.
Cool. There's nothing better than opening day. I mean, I've been at a couple of good ones down the years. I've been at a lot of awful ones too, but the one that sticks out for me is because it was the first one I ever went to. Actually, the first opening day I ever went to was back in 2011. I was living in Gwangju at the time, and it was Gwangju's first season as not Sangmu. So they had previously been the army team. And there was a lot of fanfare when they hosted Daegu. They won 3-2 in the end because they were able to sign their first ever foreign players. The only foreign, I'm guessing at that point, the only foreign athletes you would have seen in Gwangju playing on a week-to-week basis would have been at the baseball club. So this is the first time the football supporters got to see some foreign players. They signed 3 Brazilians that season. And they were okay in the end. But 3-2, 5 goals. So the Gwangju World Cup Stadium, I can't imagine it after the 2002 World Cup. I can't imagine there were too many times there were more people at it than there were that day. So it was nice to be at that sort of a situation where it feels like it's the beginning of something for a club. And they've had a bit of a yo-yo spell since then. But just new clubs. The new club's opening day of the season. A lot of goals. It's always pretty cool.
Excellent.
Right. Well, that's it. You are going to Incheon Seoul. Yes?
I am. I'm going to Incheon Seoul. I've got my season ticket ready to go. I've not had to fight for tickets on Ticket Link.
Oh, like other people. Yeah. You have me complaining about that. I am 90% sure I'm going to be at a K-League 2 game on Saturday. We might talk about that next week. But thanks for listening to the first ever episode of our new podcast on our YouTube channel, Below the 38th. You can probably figure out what the 38 means. If you're not quite sure, have a look at the little logo that we have. And from Luke and myself, Andrew, thanks for tuning in.